Hi traders, welcome to this demo of the profiles and how to use profiles on 6 monthly and 3 monthly rolling pivots indicators for MetaTrader 4. So we've got a euro-dollar chart here. It's running on a daily time frame, and at the moment you can see we've got both pivot systems running, and if we go to our interface for the quarterly pivots, you can see we've got an alert set up around the central pivot. And we've given it a nice thick bold line and a threshold of 20 pips, so a 20 pip trigger channel around the pivot, and that length of that trigger channel for display purposes is going back 10 periods. And obviously if price action comes into the trigger channel, we'll get an alert. Now each individual time frame for these products is capable of displaying a completely different setup. So if you wanted to go to the weekly setup, you can now see by clicking on the chart it's the same as before, except we've got a green channel colour, whereas on the daily it's an olive channel colour, so mild difference. In fact, it's actually the same as green. So if we want to go to weekly and we want a different config, say we don't want a thick line, you can change that, and then obviously when you go back to daily you've got a different config with a bold central pivot line. So you've got a choice. You can have completely different setups for each time frame, or if you want to run the same configuration across all time frames for this chart ID, you can simply click the copy profile to all time frames for this asset. So let's give it a name. We'll call it QPP bold and save that profile. And then if I select copy profile to all time frame for this asset, when I now go to the weekly chart, you can see it's bolded up my central pivot. Same thing on the monthly, and obviously 4 hourly will be the same. It takes a little bit longer to calculate. You just scroll out a little bit here. So again, exactly the same config on all the time frames. Now, if I go to another chart, let's go to a Gbp USD chart, and I'll load up the 2 indicators on that as well. Let's go to a daily time frame. This is looking like a similar configuration to before. So let's then change that. So we'll remove the alert on the central pivot, and we'll also change the line width as well. And it also appears there's a little bit of it. We need to move some labels around here a little bit, so let's move our label positions over a little bit to the right hand side. Let's try 3, and I'll copy that label position to separate those out a little bit. Okay, so we now separated our labels so you can see what's going on. So with regard to profiles, if I use the second option here, copy profile to all time frames on all charts, that means that any chart running the quarterly indicator will get the same treatment. So if I go back, for example, to my euro-dollar H4 chart, click on it to make sure it synchronises with the interface, and I can select my old QPP bold profile here, open that, and if I now copy that profile to all time frames on all charts, just wait for the button to actually ungrey itself. There you go, so that operation is done. So sometimes it's worth doing it a couple of times just in case you get file locking. But we go to the Gbp Daily Chart, and you can now see that on all time frames that will have exactly the same profile as the one we had before. So set a bold central pivot with an alert. So again, let's load up another chart. So let's go for CAD Yen. Load up the 6-month pivots, load up the 3-month pivots, go to a higher time frame. And what you can see here, again, there's an alert on this central pivot. Let's just change things a little bit here. So, well, what I'll do is I'll demonstrate what happens if I again go back to my euro-dollar chart. And so I really like this profile. We like the QPB bold profile. Again, if I click copy profile to all timeframes and all charts, same operation. Should get a bold central pivot line on the quarterly with an alert set up. So going to our CAD yen, just change the time frames a little bit. You can now see that profile has been rippled across all of the time frames. If I close MT4 and reopen it, all the old profiles are maintained. So you can see exactly what's going on. Bold central pivot with an alert. Exactly the same holds true for the half-year system, 6-month rolling pivots. So let's go to, for example, to the CAD yen chart, and let's say I want to set up a very wide-ranging alert on this daily CAD yen chart. So turn on the alert system, go to put an alert on H half-year R3. Bold it up just to make it stand out, and let's separate our labels here again. So let's give ourselves a little bit of separation, perhaps a little more. So we now see the separation between the half year and the quarterly pivots is happening okay. So we've got a choice here. If we go to, we can have different config. So the weekly will be different, of course. Same for the monthly, they're default configs. The daily we've tuned and separated our labels out and what have you. If I want to turn the alert system off on these charts here, I can just by clicking on the chart. It's now gone to the monthly chart, and yeah, that's fine. There's no alert on the central pivot. It's going to confuse the quarterly, where you can see the QPP alert for the quarterly pivot. So on our daily, if we want to copy that profile to all time frames for CAD yen only, we can just go down here and we can create a profile, call it half year PP bold, and save that profile, then copy it to all time frames for this asset. So then if we go to weekly, you can now see we've got sorry, I should have called the profile half year R3. So let's call it that now, HY R3 bold alert. Save that profile, and again copy that to all time frames for this asset. So on all our half year pivots on CAD yen, you're going to have an alert on R3. Whereas if we go back to our weekly for sterling or cable GBP USD, still maintaining the old profile. Let's close MT4 and restart, see what happens. So CAD yen, let's go daily. Maintained our existing setup with an alert channel on R3 with a bold line. Cable weekly, same thing. Sent just an alert on the central pivot for the quarterlies, and half year is just straight out the box. Same thing on euro dollar. Should have a bold central pivot only, which we've got on the quarterly. So once you set your profiles up, you shouldn't need to keep changing them. Once you're happy with the profile, you can copy it to all time frames if you want to for the particular asset, as in the actual currency, or asset that you're trading on that particular chart ID. But if you like, for example, if you like this setup with a quarterly central pivot, and actually in actual fact it's going to be, as we're dealing with a 6-month interface here, we're looking at a bold half-year R3 pivot. So our profile for that was HYR3 bold alert, and we can copy that profile to every time frame on all charts if we want to. So, and that will put a bold HYR3 with an alert on every chart which is running the 6-month pivot indicator. So if we go to our cable chart now, again we'll see that on all time frames, bold QR3 now. Go down to H4, scroll right out, minimize a little bit. There you go, so you've got a bold HYR3. You may find that you have to tune the label positions depending on the time frames you're dealing with. But as you zoom in, you can see that spacing now playing out a little bit better. When we were really zoomed out, it was bunching together, but when you zoom in, you can see the label spacing replicating the half-year label position which we set up previously. Again, closing the platform and reopening, you'll then see that HY bold R3 rippled through across all the time frames for all the assets. So let's minimize the interface, go to our euro-dollar chart, doing a bit of calculation here. Okay, it's just getting some logging onto the server. I'm thinking about stuff. So looking at our weekly chart on euro-dollar, so we got a bold HYR3, same thing on the daily, monthly, that profile's maintained and rippled across. Same thing, you should see every single chart will be the same now. So it's maintained our previous settings across the board. If you find that you're not getting data population, getting strange pivot values, then check your history, make sure you've got enough chart data for the system to calculate. We're going back quite a long time in some of these cases, so you need plenty of data in order to populate the charts properly. So that's really a walkthrough of the profiles and how to use them. My advice would be to use named profiles. If we go to CAD yen, we can do a little test here. Let's just add another alert on HYR2 and give it a bold line colour again. We'll change the line colour to something like something quite bright. Let's go for fabric. Yeah, I'm pretty colourblind to be honest, so I struggle to see these colours. Say something a bit stand out. Steel blue. That's better. So we can now see a differential. I'm not going to name the profile. I'm just going to say copy profile to all time frame for this asset and see whether that replicates through. Yeah, that has. So you don't need to use a named profile. Let's just see if on the monthly. Yeah. So sometimes you have to just give it a chance to pick up the profile change and just toggle between the time frames. If you don't see it updated, just toggle between them again and it'll pick up the new profile. So yeah, we can see. So you don't have to use a named profile when you use these copy profile to all time frames options, but they are very distinct in their operation. Copy profile to all time frames for this asset is specific to the instrument that you're looking at right now. If I did it to all time frames on all charts, then any chart which is running the indicator you're working on, so 6 months rolling pivots, gets the treatment. So going back to cable, you can now see cable will have bold, HYR3 and HYR2 on all time frames. So subtle but different in terms of the way these profiles are used. Once they're set up, as I said before, you shouldn't really need to keep adjusting them. They are maintained between when you load the system, so you shouldn't really need to do much with them once you're set up. So hopefully that clarifies how to use the copy profile to all timeframes options. Of course, if you want to have individual configs for each time frame, you can, and you could have whatever you want. You can configure it however you like. So yeah, there you go. Alright, I hope that clarifies things. Please contact me at info@fxalgotrader.com if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.